Welcome to our evening conversation. Tonight we are hosting Ademiku Adeleye. He is a master's student at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, that is part of the United Kingdom. He is a Mastercard Scholar, and in this conversation we are going to discuss about the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship, which is a fully funded scholarship at the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. So I will always begin with one simple question to our guests. This is the first time I'm hearing about the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship. So what is the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship?
Thank you so much for having me, Homai Joseph. My name is Ademiku, just like you mentioned, and it's my pleasure being on your platform and sharing my knowledge with you and your viewers as well. So the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship is a fully funded opportunity or a scholarship to study in any developed country or in any high-class university. So I'm privileged to be in one of the universities that partners with the Mastercard Foundations. And that university is currently, when I applied, it was the 16th best university in the world, which is the University of Edinburgh, the first or top university in Scotland. Mastercard Foundation funds students from Africa, anywhere you are in Africa. So far, you have a story to tell in regards to your background and also your academic aspiration as well. But most importantly, you need to be a transformative leader. So they're willing to fund people who have a journey, who have a background, and you're from a disadvantaged community, or now it could be from a displaced community. It could be maybe you have a disability, or you're from a low income background. So you just need to have a story to tell.
As you mentioned, this is for people who are coming from underprivileged societies.
Yes.
I am tempted to assume this is a fully funded scholarship. So when we say it is a fully funded scholarship, what does the package entail?
When I'm saying fully funded scholarship under Mastercard Foundation, it requires everything you would spend to ensure that you get a scholarship, to ensure that you get an academic achievement in this top world university that you are applying to. So if it's a passport, which is an identity that you need to show at the airport that you need, Mastercard is ready to fund it. If it's a bike money that you need to transport yourself from your home to the visa embassy where you're going to be applying for the visa, Mastercard Foundation will sponsor it. If it's the tuberculosis test, if you're coming to the UK, you need to take some tests. I don't know about other countries. So whatever test you're taking, you would be funded for everything. So far, you have been accepted for the scholarship. So it's a fully funded. They will give you stipend when you get to school. They're going to pay for your tuition. They're going to pay for your flights to the country you're going to study and back home if you want to go back home, but they advise that. And also, they would also give you stipend for things that you might think you do not even need, such as, my eyeglasses. They paid for these eyeglasses, these beautiful eyeglasses.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So they paid for so many things. All right. So that's why I say that's why I say it's a fully funded scholarship, like totally fully, and you would even go for trips. Like any trip that it's connected to your academics. Let's say you want to go and do research in some other country, they will fund it. So it's throughout fully funded, because some opportunities actually do not fund, such as your passports, like I say, or paying for your transport to the visa embassy, or paying for your visa and all of those. Yeah. So Mastercard Foundation is so juicy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very generous offer in my understanding,
Yeah,
because
really.
I've heard a lot about different scholarships, and this looks like one of the most generous. And I could want to have a discussion around the stipend and other financial support you get provided with. But before we get to that part, and of course we are going to start talking about the application process in detail. What criteria or what are the requirements for a person to apply for the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship?
Okay, yeah. Well, when we're talking about the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship, we should be talking about the country, the university you're applying to, and we should be talking about the course of study as well. In University of Edinburgh, the University of Edinburgh, while I applied, they were sponsoring, I think, about 5 courses, but right now they're sponsoring about 15 courses like that. So if your course of choice doesn't fall into these courses you want to study, and you're not willing to transition, because of course there's will to transition from one course to another. And what do I mean by transitioning? Is, let's say, for example, I studied food science in my undergrads, that's in my undergraduate study, and then I want to study data science now, or one else. So there's chance for me to say I want to apply. Okay. But if you do not want to apply, let's say, for example, you want to study law, there's no funding for that in the as at now. Okay. So it's because I tell people that try and confirm whatever anyone says. So, and I believe that they would have the link to the opportunities in the chat, or wherever it is in the description of this video.
Yeah.
So, the university okay, sorry, I didn't highlight the criteria specifically. So we have the academic criteria and the leadership criteria. Okay. So the academic criteria is that you check the university website, you need to meet at least a second class upper. That's because these universities you're applying to are top universities. If it's otherwise stated on the university, then you can apply. But if not, I would advise you to just find some other scholarships. If you have a 2-2 or a third class, or message the admin of the university to know if they are going to still will to give you the chance. The leadership criteria is you should be involved, whether in volunteering roles or leadership roles or work-based role. Just be involved in your community, doing something that contributes positively to your community. So if you have those 2 criteria, then you're good to go.
I noticed you graduated in 2021 with your bachelor's degree. That is August 2021. Does it matter about your year of graduation and the experience you have after graduation?
Oh, no, it doesn't. Oh, well, I think there's a personal criteria that I did not mention, which is your age. You should be below the age of 35 years. Yeah, so that's a criteria as well. So it doesn't matter whenever you graduate, you should be sure you have the academic criteria like I mentioned, the leadership criteria like I mentioned, and then your age should be below 35 years. Yes.
Okay.
For the University of Edinburgh specifically.
So, okay, actually, let's talk about the University of Edinburgh.
Okay.
I know it is the top university in Scotland, one of the top universities in the UK and globally.
Yes.
So, getting into the University of Edinburgh should be considered one of the achievements, like big achievements somebody should mention.
Really? Yeah.
How did you make it to the University of Edinburgh?
Well, how did I make it to the University of Edinburgh? Well, first of all, I will thank the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship again, because if I did not get the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship, I will not, well, as it is in 2021, even now, I do not and cannot afford studying at the University of Edinburgh. The amount of the tuition alone for international students for my course is £34,000, and that's worth around 70 million naira right now. Nigerian, over 70 million naira Nigerian currency. So that's huge, and it's not something I can afford. So getting into the university is just a vision that I have had I know I wanted to study abroad. And I am this person who is focused. I was just like, okay, I just need to keep applying to universities, to scholarships as well, because that's the only route to get to best universities, top universities in the world. Yeah, I checked Harvard universities. In fact, right now I'm still like, okay, which are other top universities that I can go to? So, and then I saw the University of Oxford. Unfortunately, they were accepting, yeah, they were going to, you have to pay for application fee, which I did not have. And the time was so limited as at then to say I wanted to apply for waiver. So I just said, oh, then I found the University of Edinburgh, top university in the world, you know. And then I checked their criteria. I realized that, oh, so far people are applying. I meet the minimum criteria, and I know I'm intelligent. I'm not looking down at myself. I know I have the capacity to learn in a top world university, even though I'm coming from a low background. I'm applying for this. And that was the decision. So I was just like, okay, I'm just getting this done. And then I shoot my shots.
And you just completed your master's, so that's
Yeah, I just
congratulations.
completed, yeah, with a distinction. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that is
yeah,
an achievement, like such a big
yeah,
achievement.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Thanks so much.
somebody will want to ask, is there a relationship between the Mastercard Foundation and the University of Edinburgh? Okay, let me reframe this question. When I'm applying to the Mastercard Foundation, okay, when I'm applying for the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship,
Mhm.
do I need to apply for the course first, then for the funding? Or once I get funding, I get the course? Or once I get admitted to the course, I'm automatically a candidate for the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship? How does it work?
Many people actually mix this together. I found someone who was on my LinkedIn and was like, I just got a conditional offer from the University of Edinburgh. So what's next? And the person was open to even hear from Mastercard Foundation when
Yeah.
you did not apply to the scholarship. So what you have to do, I was so sorry for the person because it's a 1 year span, and what you have to do if you want to get admitted the next year is to apply when the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship is open the previous year. So for 2025 intake, you need to apply right now, October 1st. Well, maybe we'll talk about the opening session, opening of the application dates later. So you need to apply for for the scholarship, for the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship first. So once you've been selected for the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship, because the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship is in partnership with the University of Edinburgh, you have high chance, I can say, to get admitted into the University of Edinburgh. So you would in fact, they will tell you to just use your application that you've made for the university, for the scholarship, and then submit it and use it for your school at application because it's top notch, of course, and you're a top student as well. So, and that's how you get into the university. Well, there are some um, there are some other things you still need to meet, which is English proficiency. Like I said, Mastercard Foundation Scholarship is a juicy scholarship. They will fund every damn thing, so you don't have to worry about that, and you don't have to worry about that now because you can apply without an English proficiency at first. So if you get the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship, and then you apply to the school, and then you get the school conditional um, conditional admission, which is based on submitting an English language proficiency certificate, then Mastercard will now fund you to go and take the English language proficiency test. So, and then you submit it to the school, and then the school now gives you an unconditional offer to be a student at their university. And so that's how it works.
I know we have already discussed about this
Mm-hmm.
master's application process in another
Mm-hmm.
video on this channel, but
Oh, cool.
maybe this is the first time somebody's hearing these terms. What is a
Yeah.
conditional and unconditional offer?
Okay, so a conditional offer is that you've met the academic criteria to be in the department, but you've not totally met the university criteria, because it's the university criteria to be able to communicate, not just in the department, but also in the university community as well. So some courses might want to approve you if they say that, oh, you can speak, or you've maybe submitted a certificate from a university or a country where they've spoken English, or where English is their first language, or where maybe you've spoken English for all your undergraduates. So for the University of Edinburgh, there are some universities in Nigeria specifically and across the world that they've waived that for. So that's part of the condition that they can give you. So if they're giving you a conditional offer, so that means you're based on a probation till you submit the other requirements, which could be English proficiency. It could also be, let's say something you mentioned in your document, or maybe an application fee or so. It could be an application fee as well. And it could be, it's maybe your transcript. Yeah, it could be your transcript as well. So, and so many other documents like that that are necessary for the university to clear you to be a matriculated student in the university. So, an unconditional offer is that the condition is waived, just like the opposite of condition and
Yeah, yeah.
unconditional.
So if
So,
somebody
the condition
understands
is
the
taken away.
conditional,
Yeah,
then it would be easy to understand the unconditional.
yeah.
So we are going to now start discussing about the application process.
Yeah.
As an undergraduate student, I'm in my fourth year. Can I apply?
No,
Okay.
because you do not have your final transcript.
Mhm.
Yeah. So during the application, you have to submit your transcript. And I feel like that's only, they don't even ask for your CV. Maybe they've changed the process now. I don't know. But yeah, you have to like have your transcript. So if you are going to be able to get your transcript before you finish, then that's fine. You can apply. So, but if not, then you have to get your transcript.
There's something called AI, and
Mm.
AI is a very
I know
resourceful
where you are
assistant.
getting
It
into.
can
Okay.
help you write your essays. Is it
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
advisable for me to use
Mm.
AI generated essays for my Mastercard Foundation application?
Well, one thing I want you to know is that, application reviewers understand when you're telling your story
Mhm.
rather than when someone is telling your story for you, or whether a machine is telling your story for you. That's one aspect. Another aspect is the ethical aspect. So the ethical aspect when you're writing, even in developed countries like this, they will tell you the originality of your work is what we want. If not, it's going to be penalized by the academic and examination committee. I was privileged to be part of the committee members of my school, the SEC, that's the School Education Committee. So this is a board that ratifies what the students does, the ethics and disciplinary things around students and all of those. So it's important that you note that you should tell your story in a way that it brings out the passion, like it brings out the interest of the reviewer to read through every line, connecting to each other. Well, you can say AI can do that, but the touch that you personally will use will be very, very different, because we are human. And another thing is, because I reviewed an essay for a mentee last year. And funny enough, the mentee sent it to someone who is even in a developed country, and then the person used AI and then sends it back. So be sure of who you're sending your essays to review. Because when I saw the essay, it was even when the mentee saw the essay, the mentee was even sure that this doesn't look interesting at all. It doesn't sound like I wrote it the way I want to. And there are some tenses as well. You know, AI has its algorithm. The way the syntax, if you notice, the syntax of AI when it generates an essay is always it's in a way that it's detectable. And also these reviewers also use AI detectors. So they don't even do it manually to start scanning. Does this sound like AI? They just send it to AI detectors. And these AI detectors are pro AI detectors. So if you are caught using AI,
The
just
application
know
goes
that
to the bin.
to the bin, it gets trashed immediately.
Mhm.
So I think that's even the first process they do before even reviewing the writing. So yeah, it's very important to take note of that. Do not use
So,
AI. And if you
so,
will, rewrite it yourself.
so you're going directly to the application essays.
Yeah.
There are 6 essays.
Okay.
Which one did you enjoy the most?
The first one.
The first one. So I'll take you directly
Yes.
to the first essay that you enjoyed the most. It says,
Yeah.
The
Because
Applicant Story.
mm-hmm.
I will
Yeah.
read it to you, then you are going to tell us how interesting it was and how you went ahead to answer it.
Okay.
Reflecting on your life so far, tell us how you meet the key selection criteria for the Scholars Program. Please include any barriers you have faced in your education and early career, and you are given a maximum of 250 words.
Yeah. So while I was taking note of this, so what I did was I highlighted, I copied the question in a Word document, and then I highlighted those parts. The question says, oh, before that question you mentioned, the previous question mentioned that we are welcoming applicants from those who identify as women, refugees, or displaced, and or those with disabilities. We understand that these groups face barriers to education. If you take note, they are looking for barriers to education. So you highlight that. If you fall into women, refugee, or disability, you highlight that. So those were the key points that I highlighted. And in the question itself, it says you should include information on, then I highlighted your academic achievements. I highlighted that. I bolded it and I increased the size so that whenever I'm writing, I'm able to connect it with
Memorize.
those words.
Yeah.
And then I highlighted barriers to education you faced. So because the barrier it's already appeared like a couple of times. So why do I not share my barrier? So, and then I told them that I faced health challenge. I mentioned the health challenge, and then I mentioned the year. And then I didn't only mention that, I mentioned I mentioned another challenge that I faced in a particular year while I was facing that physical challenge. You know, so it's because I've read quite a number of essays, and then some people just say, while I was growing up, um, I had accidents, or my mom lost her job, or we used to fetch water, or we were poor. Don't just mention that. Mention what the challenge was specifically. So the general challenge was that you were poor. Fine. But how was the challenge a barrier? For example, I mentioned because I have a spinal challenge, where because that makes me use a right hand crutch. And then I just mentioned that I told them I was suffering from, I mentioned the name of the diagnosis in XYZ year. And I told them that in this same year, my mom lost her job. Now I mentioned the year I got admission into university. I mentioned like while suffering from XYZ challenge in XYZ year, which the same year my mom lost her XYZ job. I mentioned the amount. I mentioned the amount of the job, and then I said the I got admission into the university. Did you see that? Like I mentioned the challenge, but I mentioned that that same year I got admission into university, which was the only good news in our family. That was like, there's a positive and a negative, and they're like, okay, now that you face all of this challenge, and then you got admission, I've placed a barrier to an education already. So, which was what the question was mentioning. So now I now have to then buttress how I was able to deal with that challenges in my undergrads and how I was able to get a very brilliant result irrespective of that challenge that I mentioned. So there's something they call this a star approach: the situation, the task, the action, and the result. I've mentioned the situation already, and then I'll talk about the task. So working around this, then I have to actually I realized that it's going to be difficult for me to get into the university, but to accept the admission given to me to get into the university. But being a first generation college student, I had to take the pain regardless of the challenges I was facing to go to university. And then I told them like I did some freelance job. I learned some skills and then I did some freelance jobs that helped me to boost my income in my first year. And then while I did that, I made a strong 2-1 that helped me to get scholarships, local scholarships that helped me throughout my university. I got 5 scholarships in my undergraduate. So, and then I mentioned that. So, and that was what helped me throughout my undergrads. And then during this period, I did not only relent on that, I still mentioned that I had challenge during the undergraduate days, which was traveling to to some states to seek health care. So, which actually consumed much of my income as well. So, but as still at that, I mentioned that anytime I had the chance to come to school, I always work with my team. I always work with my with other students in my class, and then with my leadership traits that they saw, I led my practical classes, most of my practical classes, and in all of these practical classes, I had an A. And this can be verifiable. I didn't mention that it can be verifiable, but it can be
They could
verifiable
see
in
from the
my
transcript.
transcript. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, they could see it in my transcript.
Mhm.
So this is something. So don't just lie, okay? So don't just tell lies. Yeah. So I mentioned that whenever I come back, I try to lead my team. I work collaborative with my group members in practical classes, and these leadership traits helped me to lead most of my practical classes, where I helped myself and my team to earn a distinction in 90% of these practical classes. And that was why I said it. So that already shows my leadership, it shows my academic prowess, and shows like my resilience as well. So in just like one sentence. So and then I told them after graduation, I graduated as the top, one of the top in my class, best student researcher, publishing 2 papers 1 year after I graduated, and then graduated as the second 1/2 of the top student leader with academic excellence in my university. Yeah, and that was how I capital. And I also said I did not just achieve this, I did not just achieve excellence, showcasing um excellence in leadership in my school, but also became the first generation college student in my family. So that shows that a strong candidate in both sides. So yeah, so that was what I wrote about the first story. So it's very interesting to me. I like telling my story.
Yeah, it is both encouraging and touching.
My pleasure. I'm glad I touched you up.
So we go to the second essay, future goals and study. Um, as you speak about this, please also help us understand if the choice of your program is going to influence this story. But here's the question. I'm going directly to the question. We would like to learn more about your interests in further academic study. Please explain how the degree program you have chosen to study here relates to your future goals. What specifically about this course will be useful for you? And you're also given a maximum of 250 words. I need to clarify this. Sometimes these questions are a little bit different based on the program you choose.
Mhm.
And
Oh, okay.
they might be, okay, they are more or less the same questions, but just from a different angle, right?
Okay.
So it is under one broad umbrella of application story. Then the next one, future goals
Yeah.
and study.
Yeah.
So it might be
Yeah.
structured in any different way. But now, in short, to just generalize, the question is, you have chosen degree X.
Yeah. I
Why?
get
And how does it influence?
Yeah, I think I can see the question now. Say what specifically about this course will be useful for you. So those are things that I would highlight. What about this course will be useful for me? So the first thing I wrote in that particular part is that there is a challenge. Okay. I first of all highlighted the general challenge, and I highlighted it in the global context and in the local context as well. What I did was, because I studied food security, master's degree,
Yeah.
and I talked about the global food insecurity. I quoted a journal. I quoted a journal and I put the reference there.
Yeah.
And then I now connected it with Nigeria as well, saying 60% of Nigeria, 63% of Nigerians population, XYZ, XYZ, and then which is XYZ of the world's population. Do you get? So, I mean, and I wrote it in the way that, what I always say is the story you want to tell should be the one that is captivating. You picture the problem, picture the challenge in a broader context and in the context where it's more captivating. So with numbers especially. So, and that was what I said. I highlighted the challenge, the global challenge, and how the global challenge connects with my local challenge, my local community as well.
Yeah.
And then I further explained to details like, this is what I aspire to become. And to solve this problem, I need to learn courses on XYZ, So I also went to the university's coursework as well to take note of specific courses. So in fact, I quoted those courses specifically, and I said, I'm going to learn XYZ on this particular course and XYZ on this particular course. And these courses that I mentioned were courses that I found out that they connect with the problem I mentioned earlier in my first statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I said I have a work experience and I mentioned where I was working then in the food company where we do XYZ. The job roles that I mentioned there as well connected to the problem, connected to, solving the problem that I mentioned earlier. For example, I work in a food production company where we use orphan crops into producing plantain chips. Orange fresh sweet potato
Yeah.
is an orphan crop. So we use potato, we use plantain, etc. in production of into production of snacks. So I said my work experience has exposed me. I didn't say I work where we produce snacks or plantain chips or whatever. So what I said was, my current experience has exposed me to major critical food security issues in Nigeria, which are effects of climate change, population growth, and soil degradation. Note, these three keywords were from the coursework itself. Like, I went to
Okay.
check the program.
Mhm.
So I mentioned this into this part. So, and I said my master's degree program in food security addresses this challenge in specific courses like, and then in quotes, I mentioned some courses, and I said this courses provides understanding on complex issues and solutions surrounding population and their impact of food demand, food production, distribution access, XYZ. All of those keywords were from the course. So in that course, when they in that statement where they would ask you, how is your this course you are selecting would affect your future or relate to your future goal, it's important to mention the problem that you are facing. Excuse me. So it's important to mention the problem that the world is facing that connects to your own, to yourself, to your personal self, or to your community. And then talk about your work experience. Your work experience or leadership experience. And highlight within that part, highlight anything related to what is on the coursework. From there, then talk about the coursework that will solve that problem. Yeah. So talk about the courses that would solve that problem that you've mentioned earlier on. So yeah, and yeah, that was it. So and
That,
yeah, and that point, that was the point where I also mentioned that when I return home, because
mm,
that's what interests Mastercard Foundation. I
mm,
said when I return home,
mhm.
I would be able to I said I was going to return back to my workplace, which of course I wasn't sure if that's going to be possible. But
Yeah.
I'm a good candidate. If I want to return home, I know there are so many industries that would want me to come. So that just shows that you have an idea of what it is to give back to the community, which is very important to
Yes.
Mastercard's applicants. And then I told them my long-term goal as well, because remember the problem, you can't solve a problem by just going to school, a master's studies, and then finishing, and then you say your problem is gone. Yeah, so I gave them my long-term goal, which I don't know if yours is studying a PhD in that aspect as well. That's okay. But mine was working with big NGOs like the World Food Program, and I highlighted it there to contribute to solving that same problem that I mentioned earlier. And you can then buttress a bit on how you think that is the solution to that problem.
That problem.
Mhm.
You see, that is a very comprehensive guide. And I'm sure if somebody has been listening um, to this, they already have a good idea on how they're going to structure their own essays. In case you're joining us now, this is the Management Diary, and today we are hosting Adeleye Ademiku. He is a master's student at the University of Edinburgh and a Mastercard Foundation Scholar. In this conversation, we are providing insights on how to make a successful application for the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship at the University of Edinburgh, which will be opening on 1st October of 2024. Ade, as I would fancy to call him, is
Thank you.
is a food expert, food security expert, and I came to know you through your YouTube channel,
Oh, wow,
and
nice.
that is when I first came to interact with you. I was looking for some information about the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship, and then your channel happened to pop up. I came to look for you on LinkedIn, and then I realized we are actually connections. So I decided to send you a message so that we can have this conversation. So could you please
Nice.
tell me what is the global opportunities and goals?
All right. Thank you so much, Umay Joseph. Yeah, and I appreciate the work you're doing as well here. And so the Global Opportunities and Go is a platform that provides global opportunities, just like it says, global opportunities and insights to every young Africans, most importantly, or people who are looking for opportunities across the globe. So it's not just for Africans. If you're listening from any part of the world and you need any opportunity, well, yeah, then you should subscribe to that channel. Okay.
Yeah, sure. I will leave the link to the YouTube channel at the
Thank you.
description of this video, and I will also leave a link to his LinkedIn profile so that you can get to engage more
Yep.
with, as we fancy to call him, Ade.
Thank you.
So let's go to the third essay. The third essay says, it talks about the potential benefit of your program, right? So what I have here might look different from what was on your question, but you can reframe it.
Okay.
We aim to award Mastercard Foundation Scholarships to individuals who will benefit most from the opportunity. How would being a Mastercard Foundation Scholar at Edinburgh support your development, personally and professionally? So that was like in bracket, but it means it's very important. So you're given 250 words. How am I going to address this?
Yep. All right. So in that part, what you should clearly highlight is that at the University of Edinburgh. So they're saying they want to give you an opportunity at the University of Edinburgh. So you should take the context of University of Edinburgh into it, and also take notes that you want to showcase your personal and professional aspiration. So I started with my personal, straight up with my personal aspiration. I want to be an agribusiness expert, to do XYZ, XYZ, blah, blah, blah. And I told them I currently work in this company and then I told them and I told them the role that links with what I want to become. Do you understand? Because I told them that, yeah, I'm working directly with local farmers to produce production from staple food. Just remember earlier, I didn't say that does plantain chips, XYZ. No. So, which improves food security in specifically in northern parts of Nigeria where the company was, and if anyone knows northern part Nigeria, they would definitely know that, that part is kind of, they know it for some significant crazy stuff. So, although I didn't have enough words to buttress that, but I knew that, that's not necessary for the content. So that's how you save words as well. Now, talking about being a Mastercard Foundation at the University of Edinburgh, I told them that there was no way I could afford this coming from a low-income background. And the University of Edinburgh, and I've always wanted to study at a top-world university. And the University of Edinburgh is notably the 16th best university in the world, according to QS ranking. I quoted QS ranking. And then I told them what I will learn. I told them I was going to learn those keywords. I took those keywords again from the university page, because now it's the Mastercard Foundation and the coursework that might want to review that. So I took some keywords in between the University of Edinburgh page and the coursework page as well. So it's a blend of it all. I think most of the stuff I do is to take keywords that are similar to my course. And, the keywords that I've taken earlier, I don't repeat. I ensure that there's less of tautology, but I ensure that I make sure the keywords are always there. So I told them, okay, I would learn advanced technical, environmental, and agronomic economics and social political factors influencing food security. And they also said we would have access to the Scotland Rural College. So these extra points are things that I factored into it, because that's how they know people who really dig deep into knowing about the coursework. So what are the other benefits that you will get from that course, except what is just on the page? So those were things that I inserted into it. And lastly, in my last paragraph, I just mentioned that an SDG advocate focusing on SDG 2, which is zero hunger, and this will help me improve my leadership in community involvement and etc., etc., that also connects with some projects that Mastercard Foundation is focusing on. So it's important to also know what Mastercard is working on in regards to your space. Yeah.
There are things actually we call common knowledge, especially for people who are applying for scholarships. Things like the UN SDGs. Those are things that you should try, as an applicant, you should try to.
Yeah.
About the program, try to understand more than just what is on the advert. Try to go into like what each module does, or maybe go on YouTube and check
or
if
the
people have
lecturers
talked
even
about these things. See if there's a student who has mentioned it somewhere, maybe on LinkedIn. Try to understand the program, what people do on that program, so that at least you just don't mention what everybody else is mentioning. To the fourth essay, that is leadership and service. We want to learn about your track record as a transformative leader. Of course, you had mentioned on the first part, the first essay, something brief about leadership, but it's good that it is also coming up again. Tell us about one current idea or project you're working on which clearly demonstrates this. So this is generally, in whichever form the question is going to come, it is just talk about your leadership and service. So how do you address that?
So how I addressed that was, I've been into volunteering and leadership for about 6 years, even though I do not have certificates in the first year or second year or third year. So, I just told them that I've been active in my community for XYZ years. And, this volunteering, and I mentioned the year, I told them I have an active volunteering of 6 years experience, volunteering and leadership, 6 years experience for community development. And I've been able to work with XYZ organizations. I mentioned the organizations that I've been able to work with and the one I was working with currently. I told them the projects that I've carried out, and I told them how I carried those projects out. So it's just about talking about your experience. Your experience, first of all, you might not want to showcase your award, or possibly if your award is, you can, it depends on your style of writing. For me, I could say being an Edinburgh awardee, or being one of the top 6 students out of 54,000 students, or 54,000 students in the University of Edinburgh, to get an outstanding award on volunteering, which showcases my transformative leadership for community development experience. I currently work with XYZ, where I do XYZ. My last report from XYZ boss, or maybe the country director, highlights and then in quotes, excellent work from, I could quote whatever someone said to me in time past, or maybe someone noted, you don't need an award to show that you're good. Do you understand? So, and then with that, and then I tell them that this, the quote of this an excellent job due to, or after reaching maybe 15,000 in local community. And if it's a small group, then you could just say, after reaching out to 10 junior students in my undergrads who are terribly struggling with academics and maybe physical health challenge or something like that. Which other students neglected or discriminated. Do you understand? So that shows you that you're distinct. So whenever you're talking about something common, talk about the distinct, why it makes you distinct. So if it's that people did not do it because of something, highlight it there. So and then mention your awards. Mention your awards. And then if you've worked with any, I would give you this hint. If you've worked with any organization that is in collaboration with Mastercard Foundation, please mention it.
So that is going to add to your points, like if you mention.
Yes, because they feel like, oh, okay, that means you've been following the track of Mastercard Foundation in time past. So which shows your credibility as well. Yep. So,
we are being led to the next question, which is community. I understand now we are going to be more specific on the program that somebody has selected. So, but I think the community aspect is also a more general question, right?
Yep.
Or as an assumption. So here is the question. This is what it says. We believe that transformative change happens not through individual talent alone, but when we build effective communities and teams. So if you were selected to the Scholars Program, what qualities would you bring to our community? So in short, what are you bringing to Mastercard Foundation Scholarship? Is there anything you find difficult about being in groups or would like to improve upon?
Yep. So if I were you, maybe if I've worked with or volunteered with many organizations, I would just say after working with 10 local organizations, 50 international organizations, or 2 local organizations, or even that, if that's not your own case, or maybe just worked with a previous organization, you can just say, after my last work with XYZ organization, I encountered, or during my last work with XYZ organization, I encountered, you can talk about a simple challenge, a challenge that is, it's focused on a group thing, because now they are talking about, you're going to be selected amidst a community, you get. So you talk about the challenge that is faced within the community, and then talk about the talent or the leadership traits that you used to solve that problem at that time. Yeah. So you talk about that leadership trait that you used to solve that problem at that particular time. And you now say that gave you the clear confidence that this is your charm, is your leadership, is your top leadership charm skill. However, other leadership skill that has worked for you very well also is, then you state all that, so that it doesn't look like you're only focused on communication and then that's what you're good at. You're not good at, other stuff.
If I may ask, did you get the same question? What was the question? Okay, regarding the community aspect.
The Mastercard Foundation is a growing network of diverse scholars. One of the key attributes of this network is commitment to inclusion. So they specifically mentioned inclusion in that aspect during this one. So
that is essay number 5, right?
Sorry?
So that essay is under what umbrella term?
Yeah, that's under community as well.
Yeah. So in as much as there's different questions per se, but at the granular level it's different by the wording, but at the higher level it actually talks about one thing: community.
Yes, you understand. At the higher level. So I think they rephrased the question. So I have the question for last year too here. So which is community. We believe that transformative change. I think that was what you read as well.
Yeah, that's what I read. So this year they might just tweak it a little bit, but
so
it is more or less the same thing. The community. How do you blend in? What do you bring to the community? And I usually say, like, even there are other things like working within a diverse community, like diversity, being able to blend in. What contribution are you bringing from maybe your home country to, because it might look so normal to you, but in Nigeria people eat egusi, and is it called egba or whatever it's called? What's the name?
Egusi.
People in Nigeria, people eat egusi and jollof, and but not
Wait,
everybody does that.
And jollof together. Don't let Nigerians catch you. Okay.
Those are things that I just keep learning along the way. So this, in as much as some of these things look so normal to you, they are not known out there. So you are also bringing in contribution at the cultural level, and which is part of also the community, right?
Yeah.
So you can address this from whichever angle you find appropriate.
Whichever angle. You could say you've constantly been the social person in your community, and then the last one you did shoot up from maybe 100% participants to 250% participants in the next in the recent party that you organize, in the cultural party that you organize,
Yeah.
showing that people are more interested, or people are getting the vibe that, wow, you're very good in maybe program planning or something like that. Do you understand? So, let me, even if I want to put it in context, I'll just say, in my recent social event, social event party in XYZ community or in my university, the participants or attendees shoot up from maybe 89 to 160, showing a 60% or 100% increase from the previous attendance, which shows how interesting I performed in my previous coordination.
Yeah.
That alone shows leadership, it shows your coordination, and it shows results as well. It shows you're result oriented, and it shows that you're able to quantify the progress you're making
You're
in that
making.
space. Yeah,
So
so
like there's no clear-cut way.
no, at all.
The final question is meant to be specific to the course, and I don't know if it
Yeah.
is ideal we discussed this, but we can have something like very broad
Bring
broad
it
in
on.
the sense that we can't, instead of focusing on, this is number 6, climate
Okay.
leadership.
Yeah.
I don't know if everybody got that question on climate leadership. You are in
Okay.
food security, right? So I don't know the umbrella term they call that, but there's like, it is more specific or tailored to the program. So generally, because people are applying to different courses, what
Yeah.
should I be mentioning here, like generally, without going to the specifics of your own program?
So the gist is that Mastercard Foundation, on our page, they already wrote it there that we are looking forward to admitting climate leaders who would do XYZ. So just go grab that statement, twist it in a way that fits to your story, and then tell them that you've worked on a project, or maybe co-led or volunteered for a project that's focused on XYZ, that is focused on climate, whatever aspect of climate it is. And then it's not necessary to, to be in the forefront of an action. You could just be an administrator or whoever sitting in the back seat. But just say, I've been able to work with or volunteered with a particular organization that focuses on, if you are not involved in the project they are even doing, you could just say you've worked with that organization. But the organization focuses on, do you understand? Now, you didn't say you did that, but you said you work with, so
The organization.
indirectly, you contribute to that. Yeah. So that's a way, if you've not worked on any directly with any climate on any climate projects, that's a way
You
to
need to
come
look
in.
for a way to affiliate yourself.
Affiliate yourself. Yeah, that's just the gist. Yeah. Or maybe you took a course, or maybe in one of your courses throughout your undergrads or something, you took a course that is related. Just put it there that I attended the course, I took a course in my undergrad, and that was where my interest in climate came in. And that's part of why I'm very much interested in Mastercard Foundation Scholarship, and and I'm hoping to work with other climate leaders as well. So
I think this has been a very insightful conversation.
it's my pleasure.
And we have talked so much about the technical aspects of the application, and we are missing one very important thing called the life of a scholar.
Okay.
So, as a scholar, I know we understand UK comes with its
Yeah.
own challenges. But as a community, I know you always get support as a scholar.
Yeah,
The
true.
question is, what kind of support do you get from your scholarship community?
I told you I use a right hand crutch. I have a neurological disorder that affects my left leg from my spine, and then they funded part of my transportation, like booking a Uber ride for me for some trips, so which enhances my mobility here in the university. And also, there's this community team that's the Mastercard Foundation Edinburgh program team. They are just so superb. So they always they have their arms are wide open. Yeah, that's just the word. Their arms are. You can pop up in the office and say you want to see someone, you want to talk to someone. Yeah, I've had cases of people who had this challenge, almost getting overwhelmed and all of this, and they supported. They could extend your course if that's what you need. So they are just ready to support. But for me, I'm just this Nigerian guy. We have been there. We just keep going. So I feel like that was the support that I personally received in regards to the mobility, and it was so helpful. But in other stuff as well, because some people wanted social stuff, some people play ball, so it can be overwhelming because it's just 1 year, and then the academic is there, this and that. So, but the social aspect is what people really do not, because it's just, I feel like it's just the way the community is centered. And as a new person, it's okay to actually experience all of these things. So there are culture shocks, so, but they are not things that you cannot endure. If you can endure things like you faced in your community, definitely there's no way you won't be able to endure stuff here. And this stuff, I'm not saying endure, it's not even about endure, it's just about some trade-offs.
Adapting.
Yeah, adapting. Yeah, thank you. That's the correct word.
So, to somebody who is trying to make the application for this year, and maybe people will be watching also in 2026, 2027, 2028, what is your parting shot?
What is your what?
Parting shot. What is your parting shot?
What is your pattern shot?
Okay.
Can you?
What would
Please.
you advise somebody who is making their application this year?
Oh
or
my goodness.
afterwards?
Okay, cool. Thank you so much. I would advise them to, just apply. Watch this video if you're watching it, and apply. So my advice for you, if you're watching this video and you want to apply for the 2025 scholarship, I would advise you go to the website, go to your course website, go to the site of the Mastercard Foundation Scholarship in the University of Edinburgh, and read A to Z. Read A to Z. Take notes of everything that connects with you in regards to data when you're reading it. Take note of that. Take note of leadership, the leadership traits that they mentioned on the coursework and on the university page. Take note of that. During your essay, ensure that you put data like quantify your work, quantify and qualify your work with adjectives that are related to the ones on the coursework specifically,
Yes.
or Mastercard's page. And also use the star approach. Don't forget, use the star approach. Most importantly, for that personal statement in the first story. So please do that, and I wish you the very best. Okay. And also, please tell someone to review, and tell someone who is experienced. Don't tell someone who is going to help you use ChatGPT, please. That's important.
So, I know I can find you on LinkedIn. Is there any other platform besides LinkedIn and YouTube?
Well, besides LinkedIn and YouTube, you can find me on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram.
We will leave the link to his LinkedIn, YouTube,
Yep.
and Instagram pages at the description of this video. So that was Ademiku Adeleye, and this is the Management Diary. See you again in our next episode. Bye bye.